Well, greetings and welcome everyone to our weekly WeAwake meditation together. Um, wow, we're just living in historic times. We just had the inauguration and the other day, and it is a big deal, whatever side of the fence you sit on. And I don't think it's um, anyway, I was never a Trump fan, ever, ever, ever. And I'm so relieved to have a man who seems to be sane again in the White House. Anyway, enough about that. But I think I've just seen how these times that we've gone through with the pandemic and the insane, teetering on the verge of, a neo-fascist America, and all of this stuff happening has just caused so much distress. And I've spoken to friends of mine who are psychologists and therapists, and say more and more in their sessions, people are talking about politics. Not just about the pandemic, but the politics, what's going on in the country. People are angry, people are scared, people don't know. So anyway, we had a demonstration of sanity and of a man who's trying to bring the country back together after what he very aptly called this uncivil war that we've been engaged in. And I think we need to all do our part, whatever we can to, and of course here in the U.S. and for you guys who aren't in the U.S., in our own countries. And I was listening to Jeff Salzman podcast, The Daily Evolver, and they were talking about, at second tier, and we talk about in integral theory, the different developmental memes are where, at certain levels of development, you have certain values. So you have the traditionalists, you have the modernists, you have the postmodernists, and then you move in the postmodern or the integral or second tier. And one of the qualities, I think it was Dr. Witt, said that at second tier, you have to have empathy for all these different levels. The people that you just think are the most outrageous and dumb and evil and blah, 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 but without expecting empathy in return. Now, if that ain't a spiritual practice, I don't know what is. There's only one way to go with that, or I guess there's two ways. You can either numb out, which is not empathy, or expand your soul. And I think what we need to do is the soul expansion. So today we're going to listen to, we're going through PMP, Profound Meditation Program 3.0, and this is one of, our most important programs. It really launched WeAwake, and it has just been a tremendous practicing tool. I've been using it for over 10 years now, and I use all these different tracks. I pretty much do it intuitively now. It's like, okay, what should okay, God, what should I listen to today, and go with that. But I always come back to WeAwake, and when I'm doing long distance driving, which I have to do often between Utah and Louisiana and Texas, where we've been taking care of family members for the last long time. I'll always, at some point when I'm going through these vast expanses of West Texas or the desert Southwest, put on PMP 3.0 and just listen to the whole 17-track thing in a row. And it always makes it, don't do this at home. Don't do it in the city when you're driving in traffic. But if you do have the blessing of driving in these big open spaces, it makes the trip become a really spiritual experience. And Pam can attest to my doing that. There she is. And so anyway, today we're doing a track 2, level 1. And this is a delta track. So delta is a very low meditative state, and it is when they started discovering about all these brain waves, delta was the wave that is 0.5 to 2 hertz. And they started seeing that the brain, when you're in dreamless sleep, which is the majority of our sleep if we are sleeping in a healthy way, the brain exhibits a lot of delta. So it's a very renewing thing. I don't know if any of you have been tormented by insomnia, but I did. And one time I went like 5 days without sleeping, and it wasn't drugs. I was just, something happened in my brain, and it was crazy. I started about the third or fourth day, the unconscious started blending with the conscious, and it was really frightening. So we need sleep. We're not really sure why. Well, scientists aren't really sure. I think I do. I think it's where we go back and we reconnect with the ground, even though we may not be consciously knowing it. And so we come back refreshed, and we can come back into this world, the lower right quadrant, things that we bump into, and stuff and relationships and people that are able to handle it. And without it, we just go down. So I would suggest that we rest in that today, and also put our minds and hearts and souls together to just pray for our world, and pray for ourselves, that we might be instruments of peace, and not just come to a place where we can transcend the divides, while still recognizing the errors and what's not right, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We get to the point spiritually where we can open our hearts and souls broad enough so that we can hold everyone that needs to be held. I mean, that's really everyone, all beings, all sentient beings, and put ourselves on that task so that we might be instruments of peace, as the St. Francis prayer so famously states, Lord, make me an instrument of peace. So let's enter into the state together for our own healing and for our own ability to get through these hard times and be a blessing to everyone we meet, and those who are near us and those who are far from us. So Vanessa, shall we get rolling here? Well, welcome back. Although we didn't go anywhere, we're welcome back to the we space. Well, it's always the we space. Anyway, welcome back to the talk, and that was lovely for me. Yeah, I noticed. I don't know, a few minutes into it, that I was really thinking a lot, really processing all the stuff that's going on in the world, that's going on in my life, and there's a lot going on in both. And I said, okay, think, oh, I'm meditating, right? What are we supposed to do in meditation? Well, there's a lot of stuff. But one of the things that we achieve is to get to the place where we're just present, aware, very aware. One Zen master said, with the kind of alertness, awareness that if you're walking through a forest that's all the trees have razor sharp sword points on them, so you're just like, okay, that's pretty aware, um, and get to the point where you're just aware, but the thoughts have ceased, and that is a beautiful place to be, and it often leads to, well, it leads to a lot of things. It leads to breakthroughs in our understanding and realizations of who we are. And sometimes in that space, you can get kind of intuitive understanding of, your journey, what's going on, the next phases of your life, and right now, or maybe something bigger for everyone, or not necessarily. Sometimes it is just what it is. And a technique that I learned, this is before I was even meditating with brain entrainment technology, though it makes it a lot easier. It's just everything becomes so delineated. When you use this type of technology, you can start understanding what all the great masters were talking about experientially, as far as meditation and practice and inner states that arise. But one of the things is to start watching where your thoughts emerge from. Okay. And I fell back on that when I was saying, okay, enough of my incessant processing, and let's just see what happens there. And really quickly, and I've been meditating a long time, but really quickly I moved into that space where there was no thoughts. It was just presence, just consciousness, and it's really nice. So think about that. Think about that. Don't think about that. Or as a friend of mine said, meditation, it's not what you think. Anyway, yeah, try that and see, just watch your thoughts emerge. And even that, even if they keep emerging, the thoughts themselves are becoming the object. And not the subject. I am my thoughts. I think, therefore I am. No, I am, and I think sometimes, right? So, but the big I am is thoughts are a part of it, right? But it's not. It's something we can get lost in unless we practice. And then the good news is that our thoughts begin to think better, And I am not an anti-intellectual, anti-thinking person. But there's a time for everything. And I think this technology, as well as helping us to achieve meditative states more quickly, easier than we could have uh, by a long shot. I've heard 7 times faster. I don't know how it's measured, 10 times faster, but a lot faster and a lot more effectively. It is also a good tool for helping us think better and think, and where our thought process begins to emerge with our inner depth in our soul, and the product thereof is wisdom and insights on how this works together and how we can begin to heal ourselves and what are the next steps. And evolution is messy, right? And we've really gone through some messy times, and hopefully it will be food for transformation, grist for the mill, and all that delightful stuff. And I think it is, actually, but it's been hard. It's hard lessons. And I don't know if I need to say any more about it. So much has been said, but there it is. You know, this is the times we were born in, and as the old Chinese curse, right? May you be born in interesting times. Well, yeah, never been anything like it. And truly, we were talking the other day, and just talking about the internet. No human generations before us ever had anything like this, where you constantly, you know, can be bombarded with news and opinions and advertisements and, you know, scholarly dissertations and music and movies and everything, you know, with this little beast, right? And, you know, it's like more of us are hooked up to it than are not, you know, and part of it is a collective unconscious, but it also it can just be too much. And so how do we negotiate that? I don't know. You can go. I have some friends who just turn it off. They don't listen anymore because they can't handle it. And I think that we are, generally speaking, are called to be in the world and not apart from it, and to be aware of what's going on. But we have to balance that out, you know, with being present in the here, now, and doing our transformative practices and doing our integral practices and taking care of business. And almost, you know, when the answer to almost every personal issue, which in turn becomes a response and an answer to the cultural and historic issues that press us, that possess us, I guess that's actually a good word to use for it, that confront us at this time, is our own individual consciousness and transformation, and taking personal responsibility for that. So, you know, if you know, if you've been suffering from the blues or depression or burnoutness or despair in these difficult times, or loneliness, you know, you can ask yourself, how's my practice going? You know, am I spending time meditation and meditation? Am I exercising? You know, and when I'm exercising my mind, am I exercising with good things? You know, generally speaking, yeah, there's time for light comedy and all that good stuff. And I love to laugh, and I love slapstick and all, you know, it's something really healthy, but, you know, it's all about finding the right balance and the right measure. So the ability to, if we want to change the world in a better way, and we want to save democracy, and we want to save the environment, and we want to save all the species that depend on our behaving as the top of the food chain, then we have to get our own ducks in a row. And being a activist in whatever sphere, without taking care of yourself, normally for most of us, a very short road to burnout and overwhelm. So we have to keep, you know, taking care of these bodies, these amazing bodies we have, with these hands that can do all these things, and these brains, and, you know, and communication and language and music and art, all the things that humans can do. But we have to make sure that as much as possible, that our tools are in shape. And right now, I think this technology that we're producing at WeAwake, this brain entrainment, is one of the meta technologies that really helps us to be healthy physically, helps our brains be healthier. It helps us work on our interior, helps us deal with the spiritual issues of our life and experience and growth, and helps us to relax, helps us with anxiety, helps us to own the darkness in order to experience the light, and all those things that come from it. So use it, you know, let's be diligent in our self-work. And it's also a great tool to use when you're doing your work in the world, whether it's writing or on the internet or whatever it is, or reading or studying or whatever, you know. It's a really good tool to use. So yeah, so let's be responsible. Let us practice empathy with all, not those just whom we agree with and we admire, and not expect empathy back, but just to give it. I think that's a beautiful spiritual lesson, and will help us to, if we fall on our face and blow it, it's okay to keep getting back up and keep trying. So let's keep trying, and we can also ask for our higher power, our higher self, to aid us in this task and give us the strength and the courage and the clarity we need to walk the path in a good way for all sentient beings. So I think that's enough. Anyway, it's great to see, our WeAwake family together and meditating, and we feel your presence, and thank you for all the, the lovely messages that you give us, that send to us that this is helpful and this is a good thing, which keeps us doing it. So we thank you, and blessings on you and your small circles and your larger circles as they emerge out into infinity. Aho. Thank you. God bless.